Okay, a quick video with my first impressions of a Porsche 911. I've never owned a Porsche before. I've owned this for about 4 days, and these are just a few observations I have. Not an experienced driver, of sports cars or anything, so maybe these come across as naive or silly, but just wanted to give you my first impressions. The first one was the rake, or the angle of this window. It's just so kind of drawn out, long and steep or shallow, whatever that angle would be. Just really like that. I'd never really observed that before. The second one would be these wheel arches, the fender arches, how they stick out a bit. I know this is not a wide body. This is a narrow body because it's a C2S, but man, just really like
this one was the width of the tires. You don't really notice until you kind of get down low, but the tires, these are 295s, really have a lot of rubber on the ground. Love the width of those.
Okay, this might be under the silly category, but I was surprised that this didn't really have any kind of a spring associated with it. Then I was thinking, maybe the idea is if you leave this open after you filled up with gas, that it just naturally closes on its own. It does have a solenoid that of course locks it when it's locked, but I don't know. Let me know if I'm completely wrong on that one. The engine compartment, of course, hope the fan doesn't go on while I'm filming, but I just love the look of this. I love this chrome little strip here, silver aluminum strip on the 997, but I love the look of this bay. I know in newer models you can barely see the engine, if at all, but just love the look of this tiny little engine compartment. Okay, under the front trunk hood, or the frunk, like I said in a previous video, I didn't know it had this little repair kit. So this is a air compressor that you can plug into a 12-volt socket, fill up your tires. This over here, that bottle, is like a gel fluid, and it tells you how to fill up your flat tire with that. So I'm assuming you do one or the other. You either fill it up with the gel, or you just air up, if it's just a very slow leak or it's just low. Or maybe you do both. I need to read the instructions, but kind of impressed with that little repair kit. No spare tire, of course, in this model. Before we get into the car, the sheer thickness of this door impressed me. Just seems very sturdy and substantial. Okay, on the inside, so a few things here. Already talked about kind of liking these black gauges, look great, but what impressed me kind of when I first saw this, or was in the interior, these knobs, these dials just feel very high quality, seem great. You've probably seen this before, but this little chronograph stopwatch moves back and forth. Glove box was nice. These cool little CD holders, look at this. I mean, that's just such a well-engineered thing, and it even tells you there's a little red indicator that tells you if there's a CD in there or not. Went to the Porsche dealership and spent $9 on that pen. The fact it's got a spot for a pen, why not? That's awesome. Instruction manual, owner's manual, there's a whole bunch of booklets. This had been a certified pre-owned, so it had a couple extra things too. This thing, maybe somebody can tell me what the brand of this is, but it works nicely with the iPhone. And from what I can tell, they've disengaged the front CD changer, and then you just press the CD button here, and it goes from the in-dash single CD to whatever's plugged into this. So that's good. The actual PCM here, obviously you can put a SIM card in here if you want to use the telephone features. Pleasantly surprised that it all works. This display is not very bright in the daytime, but it does have maps. Somebody can maybe tell me how to get an updated DVD for the front. Mine has, of course, the date of 2006 or 2007. So I don't know if it's possible to get an updated DVD CD, but then again, who cares? You use your smartphone. But I'm just kind of fastidious about that stuff. I think it would be cool to get an updated navigation DVD just in case you needed that. Okay, first impressions of driving it. This kind of novice speak here. I don't know the right terminology, but I wasn't really
prepared for how connected, that's a good word, how connected I feel to the road driving it. It wasn't overly rough. It's got the sport mode on the PASM, Porsche Active Suspension Management. You can turn it on sport mode and then turn off the PASM so it's not as rough. And it just felt good. You definitely feel the road. You hit a pothole, of course you're gonna notice it, but it is a sports car. You kind of expect that. The acceleration honestly didn't give me whiplash. Once again, I don't know how to drive it that well. But what feels great is you're already going and then you kind of step on the gas and kind of more that top end. And also the handling. Handling's just, to me, the best handling I've ever experienced. So very pleasantly surprised on how nicely it drives. Once again, it's got the sport mode for a little bit different shifting thresholds, and then the stiffer suspension, but you can turn off the sport mode suspension so it's not as tight. But yeah, really enjoyed driving it. Pleasantly surprised how nicely it drives. A couple last little bits. When I was buying it, I didn't really notice that the bumpers had been sprayed, but I went into our local Porsche dealer here and they said on the certified pre-owned cars, that's the first thing they'll do if they need to is respray the bumpers. Kind of pleasantly surprised to hear that. I might have those redone at some point because I think they could have been done better. And yeah, that's about it. Just wanted to give you some initial first impressions of owning a Porsche 911 997 for about 4 days.